quite a number of things to look at that has transpired this week. I don't know which one of them you want to start with. I mean, of course, the conversation around democracy continues, you know, following from that colloquium that was hosted by the former governor of Imo State and also former deputy speaker of the House of Representatives. Yeah. And then at the National Assembly, there have been quite a number of developments. Yesterday, there was the voting on constitutional amendments, a number of bills passing second reading. Then we also saw 2 days ago, a shocking scene, the floor of the committee hearing, Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges. Of these three, let me ask you, you take your pick. Which one really stood out for you?
Well, I mean, I think that the most important thing for me is the kind of conduct that we are observing in the National Assembly, especially in the Senate. Now, of course, we know we have two houses in the National Assembly, you know, and they are both equal, you know, we will say. But people expect a certain level of gravitas and a higher expectation of proper conduct, especially among senators. But sadly, that has not been the case recently, especially because of this, you know, somebody called the Natasization of the Nigerian Senate. It's just, I mean, as a man, I'm just embarrassed that what ought to have been done in a very simple, decent way has turned into a serious mockery, you know, of that institution of the Senate. You know, so I am more concerned about what happens in the National Assembly. I mean, look at what also happened last week after the president gave a proclamation about what he wanted to do in Rivers State, and the law says that it has to be approved, you know, within 48 hours if the National Assembly is sitting, you know, and the National Assembly, both houses came out and told us that, hey, well, look, we've approved it. But the Constitution says that there should be 2/3 people voting, or if, as a matter of fact, the Constitution says all members. Now, they didn't tell us, you know, that what the figures were. They just told us that they've approved it. But they need to tell us. They need to tell us and say that, okay.
I think it was only in the House of Reps, and even that, some people will still say it was wuru-wuru to the answer. Yeah, because there was a particular House of Reps member who kept on calling for a head count within the chambers of the House of Representatives. But when the vote was done through the voice vote, afterwards, the speaker said, for the records, let us just place on record that we have 243 members present today, I think, according to the attendance register. And some people said, look, our attendance register would not have been sufficient to prove that all of those members were there. And how do we know that everybody voted aye, you know, in that regard? Yeah. So there were still questions around it, but I think the speaker, you know, still tried to show that
a little bit of
that we're more than 2/3 who took this decision.
Okay,
but we didn't get that in the Senate.
You know, and that dovetails into the conversation about democracy. You know, so do these people understand what democracy is at all? You know, and it is heart-rending because the National Assembly, that's the people's parliament. That is where people come to vex. You know, that is where people see as this is our own platform. So we're talking about democracy. The law says 2/3 majority must support this, and you are not, you don't feel compelled because you have an obligation to tell us in both houses how many people we are sitting, how many people voted yes, how many people voted no, how many people abstained, and then who are these people that voted yes and voted no? These are the things that they owe us. But because they don't understand democracy, you see, they don't understand what.
Is it that they don't understand it or they choose to ignore it?
Well, you know,
because in the Senate, in fairness, there are quite a number of legislators there as well who also objected very strongly when they saw just how the process was going to go down. They took a walk.
Yeah, you know, I mean, people like Senator Serake Dixon and Senator Abaribe, and we must commend
and Senator Tambuwal as well.
And Senator Tambuwal. We must commend their boldness. But we need, as a people, as Nigerians, as citizens, we need to challenge this very, very seriously, because you can't treat us that way. The president says, I have to do it. Look, I can't sit down here and people are messing up. Okay, but our laws, the totality of our laws has anticipated something like that. And so he says that, all right, President, you can do this far, and then the National Assembly, we have to check it. And so a lot of people were depending on the National Assembly. Look, the fact that we have a president asking a governor and the State Assembly to go and sit down is a big problem. It's huge. And I wish that even those senators themselves can understand. It means that anybody, you know, the president, and I'm not talking, it's not about President Bola Tinubu, although I'm worried that it is him that is making those calls. But this means that a president, any president, can ask anybody that is elected to be suspended. All you have to do is to create the circumstances. So for me, it is so fundamental. And we were hoping that the National Assembly can checkmate that kind of presidential assumption of powers that we know is not expressly stated in the Constitution.
So is it that
they failed.
Is it that they see the real need for it through their justification? I imagine that there would have been a robust debate, and would have seen,
we should have seen it all
fireworks and all of that, and then we now see the vote at the end of the day.
And if the votes were actually what they were, that's it. We know that, okay, at least we are within the ambits of democracy. But these guys are not willing to tell us how many people were sitting in both houses. They are not willing to tell us how many people voted up. They are not willing to tell us how many people voted down. They are not willing to tell us who were the people that abstained. You know, and we are just supposed to accept that because you said it. You even held these sittings behind closed doors. You know, okay, fine. You maybe because there's some security information, you should have brought the debate out. Okay, you didn't. Now, you should tell us, and they should still tell us today, how many people voted in the House of Representatives, how many people voted up or down in the Senate, how many people voted up or down. We need the numbers. We can't just assume. The Constitution was clear. 2 thoughts. They owe us that. Because, I mean, you said that maybe they understand democracy. I think they don't understand democracy because of the way that our selection itself of leaders, you know, it's not democratic. We don't have internal democracy in the parties, you know, but you may be right that these things are constructed deliberately to produce this kind of. I mean, look at what that senator guy from Ebonyi. Look at how he was talking to Obi Ezekwesili. Now, let's even forget about Obi Ezekwesili, that, you know, but how can a senator of the Federal Republic, because you are aggravated and annoyed in a public place, be speaking like that? Who are these people? I mean, and that's why I say that I don't think these people understand democracy. So all of these things dovetail together to say that, look, we need to have an activated citizenship. We can't just sit down. We have to organize. We have to organize just to establish a proper conduct of democracy. And it is doable, because majority of Nigerians will not stand for this nonsense.
Do you think, because right now we also know that so talking about the Rivers issue was a bit tricky because it had become sub judice. We saw the governors of the PDP, you know, take the matter to the Supreme Court to determine, you know, if the legislature would not do what it ought to do, it's now at the courts. Do you think that's where it ought to be?
Well, it's a good move that the governor of PDP have done. You know, they probably will be able to save the day. But I'm surprised that Governor Fubara himself is sitting down praying.
What should he be doing? I
mean, if somebody did this to Bola Tinubu when he was governor of Lagos, do you know what he would be doing? I mean, he should be the first to go to court. He's still the governor. He still has a status. It's not being removed. It couldn't be removed that way. There is a questionable suspension. The first thing Governor Fubara ought to do, if he knew what he was doing, is to go to court. And is to make to tell his people that, look, what has happened in Rivers State is against the law. But he couldn't find the courage, and it's ridiculous. And it goes back to the process of how do we select our leaders? How can I be a governor and the president who was also elected is asking me to go away? Of course, I will go away so that there's no trouble, but I will go to the court and I will tell my people, this is what is happening. You elected me to do a job. The president has asked me to go away. It is wrong, and I'm going to fight it. That's the kind of way that you can build democracy. It's not by all these people carrying the border all over the place. That's why I said they don't understand democracy. That's my view.
It's going to be, tricky. But what do you expect to see in the coming days? You have said that citizens need to be more awake. Right now, on social media, it would seem that there is this challenge going on. Is it 30 days rant or 20 days rant? I'm not sure how long it's supposed to go on for. But you have citizens coming out to express just what they are going through under this economy. And we saw it start with a young youth corps member.
Right.
And it was controversial, but we don't know if we're past that now. I sincerely want to believe that whatever it is that has happened, that the matter has been resolved amicably, especially with the youth service corps involved in this. But a lot of citizens have now taken that to say, look, we need to express ourselves, to let our leaders know just what it is that we're going through on a day-to-day basis, because it doesn't seem like they understand.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a good place to start, the rant and the social media stuff, but it has to go beyond that, and this is the challenge that we have. I think we have a compromised elite. The elite in a society, they are the ones that are the quickest, the prompt, if you want to have a transformation, it is the elite that gets it done. But a lot of our elites is that it's like they are waiting their turn. Don't let me rock the boat. Maybe this thing is going to come to my, my side. It's the elite that needs to sit up in this country. And that's why one of the things that I have been saying is talking about elite consensus. We need to be able to say that, look, let's forget political differences.
What do we need to do to shake them up?
Well, we have to shake ourselves up first. We have to shake ourselves up. We have to be bold and courageous and say that this country belongs to all of us. And this is the constitution that we have, that our leaders have sworn to. They should live. But I mean, how can we accept that the National Assembly can just come out and tell us that when the constitution says 2 thirds, and nobody is telling us those figures? It's their duty to tell us. They owe us to tell us. And that is the place to start. We need to start calling out the National Assembly and say that you cannot behave this way. This is not the conduct that is expected of leaders.